Hey there again, this is Swarthy Daisy with Kinfolk Chat, and in this video we're going to look at the timelines section of My True Ancestry. And jumping right into it, we see here the first result is 2500 BC. Ancient Ethiopia in the genetic distance is 4,822 away. And then the next one is 1900 BC. Kakapel Rock Shelter, Kenya, Stone Age, and the genetic distance is 5.6. So that's an example of the detailed timeline, and what the website says is your full detailed timeline, Journey Through Time, is a timeline of your entire sample list, either by ancestry or by sharing direct DNA segments. Red boxes matching the red dots on your ancestral maps are your matching samples. Blue boxes matching the blue dots on your ancestral maps are your matching samples, which are identified to a specific civilization. Yellow boxes representing deep dive direct matches are samples you share direct DNA segments with in CM or centimorgans. Then it says, note, the larger your sample list, the more timeline entries appear. The next section is Timeline Fingerprint, and it says your Timeline Fingerprint summarizes all the ancient samples you shared genetic signatures or DNA segments with in an interactive form over a timeline. The vertical axis represents genetic distance. The closer the sample is to your genetics, the lower it appears. The horizontal axis represents time. How many years ago this sample was around. For example, 500 BC would be approximately 20 years, so 2,520 years. And the radius of each sample represents shared DNA segments. So, for example, deep dive matches. Sample matches default to a common size. The color of each sample represents a culture or civilization. Touching or hovering over the sample shows more detailed information. And it says, note, the larger your sample list, the more timeline entries appear. And it also mentions that upgrades are required in some instances. For example, we have Neolithic Tanzania. It shows shared SNPs 104.0, age in years 2,419, and genetic distance is 103.30167. Now here we have the ancestral timeline. On the left, you see ancient Ethiopia, 2500 BC. Then along the timeline going toward the right, you see the next one says upgrade needed. So this is the portion where they start to really get into your pockets for money. So for you to access certain portions of the site or features, you have to upgrade to the next level kit or two, and that could start to cost over time. But they do give you a little bit of information to go on. So just below that, you see the Shum Laka, Cameroon, 1200 BC, and it says 42.71 centimorgans, and it says Shumlaka, Cameroon again, 1200 BC. So that just gives you an example of ancestral timeline feature. Now let's hop on over to the analysis summary section, and as you see, they have several tabs: ancient populations, ancient samples, results, deep dive, they have modern populations, ancient breakdown, matching samples, top 10 samples by era, outlier samples, and America's samples. Let's go ahead and start by looking at my ancient sample breakdown. So it says your DNA matches many ancient individuals from history. This chart represents a union of all your matching samples and their own individual classifications. The displayed result is your personalized ancestral breakdown. It says, note this will change over time as more samples are added. So, for example, as you see on the screen here, they have Khoisan is the first sample, which is the largest population. You have Yoruba, which is the next largest. Then you have Bantu peoples. Then you have Saka. Then you have the Moors. And then it goes on from there, so you can pause to read. Next, we have the breakdown by era. So as you click on the different rings, for example, here, the Yoruba, they show modern period 100%. And then the Khoisan, medieval age 70.1%, etc. So it goes on from there. Now, moving on over to analysis summary, we have a section here that says you have ancient relatives, you share identified DNA segments. So when you click on information, it says deep dive matches. These matches are your ancient relatives with whom you share actual DNA segments. Here we match your DNA directly to ancient DNA at the chromosome level. The bars below represent chromosomes 1 through 22, where you and the ancient sample share the same SNPs, which are genetic markers, with the same alleles or values for a given chain. The more segments and longer the chains, the greater mathematical confidence exists of shared ancestry. Higher quality samples from the medieval age might share chains of 500 SNPs. Low quality samples from the Bronze Age might share 100 SNPs. Note, centimorgans is a way of measuring the confidence of the connection, largely based on the SNP chain lengths. As a general rule, adjusting the SNP length is the recommended way to validate a strong connection to a given sample. And then it goes on to say a sample with this button, so that's the blue and green button with the eye on it. It says a sample spotlight is available, which includes detailed information, photos, videos, and or useful links. So we start out here with Shumlaka, Cameroon, 1200 BC. The haplogroup is L1C2A1B. It says shared DNA, sample quality 55, 5 SNP chains, minimal 60 SNPs / 94.76 centimorgans. Largest chain 153 SNPs / 42.71 centimorgans. And just below that information, it says you are a top 99% match to this sample. This makes your relationship to this individual exceptional. And then, of course, they show the chromosome and SNP information there. So it's kind of charted out so you can look at what you have in common with this individual. So this is actually pretty cool. And then when we click on the blue and green button, the little information button on the page, you see that it says this individual was a child found among 18 Stone Age human burials located in a natural rock shelter in western Cameroon. Their DNA resembles hunter-gatherer groups from Central Africa combined with West African DNA, rather than modern-day Bantu people who inhabit the region today. Grave goods from the rock shelter included stone tools and pottery. Now, this section is your closest ancient populations. And as you see, I have Khoisan and Yoruba peoples. It is showing up as Khoisan 0.925, Yoruba 1.586, and then the combination Yoruba and Khoisan is 6.997. And our information button says, what do these numbers mean? Genetic distance measures how close you are to a given sample. So 10 means this is your ancient ancestry. 20 means this is part of your ancestral link. 30 means possibly related to your ancestry. And when you click on the Khoisan button, they give you more information. It says the Khoisan represent the indigenous peoples of southern Africa, combining the Kwekwe and the San people who are believed to have populated the region before the Bantu expansion about 1500 to 2000 years ago. The language is full of click consonants and split into 3 separate and unrelated language families. The San are thought to be foragers in the Kalahari Desert and regions of Botswana, Namibia, Angola, Zambia, Zimbabwe, Lesotho, and South Africa. The Kwekwe people may represent late Stone Age arrivals to southern Africa, possibly displaced by the arrival of the Bantu. Interestingly, the linguistic influence over the Khoisan seems to have influenced the Xhosa, I hope I did that right, Xhosa and Zulu languages, which adopted click consonants. The original ancestors of the Khoisan are thought to have expanded to the southern Africa region as early as 260,000 years ago. And then here, when we click on the Yoruba peoples, it says the Yoruba people are an African ethnic group that inhabits Western Africa. They developed out of earlier Mesolithic Volta Niger populations by the first millennium BC. The Yoruba were the dominant cultural force in southern Nigeria as far back as the 11th century. Centuries before the arrival of colonials, the Yoruba already lived in well-structured urban centers organized around powerful city-states. In ancient times, many of these cities were fortresses with high walls and gates and ranked among the most populous in Africa. Archaeological findings indicate the capital of the Yoruba Empire had a population of over 100,000 people. Today, Lagos, another major Yoruba city, has a population of over 20 million. The dynasty of kings at Ile Ife, which is regarded by the Yoruba as the origin of human civilization, remains intact to this day. Ife continues to be seen as the spiritual homeland of the Yoruba. This one says your closest genetic modern populations, and if we click on the info button, it says, what do these numbers mean? Again, genetic distance measures how close you are to a given modern population. Many modern populations are surprisingly close to another, which is often due to true common ancestry. So it says 5 means you are close to this population, 10 means you could fit into this population, and 15 means a related population. So here we have Limba 3.253, Bantu 4.023, Mandinka 6.086, Sub-Saharan 7.509, Yoruba 7.509, Bantu Southwest 8.493, Bantu Southeast 10.02, and Yoruban 10.39. And then this bottom section, PCA analysis, I already recorded a video about that, so I'll make sure to link it here in the cards. So this section also goes on to break down ancient breakdowns, including matching samples, top 10 samples by era, outlier samples, America samples. So it goes on and on. This site is really interesting because they give you a lot of detail, but I don't want this video to be too long. So of course I just wanted to give you guys a taste of some of my results. If there are any updates regarding my results with this company, I'll make sure to update you all. But like I mentioned in my previous video, a lot of it depends on what levels I'm willing to pay for. And of course, like they mentioned earlier, as they add additional samples to their database, I'll definitely see some updates with my current level. But yes, this is it for this video. We covered timelines and we also covered the analysis summary. So in future videos, as things arise or as I learn more about the site, I'll definitely bring you more updates. But please let me know in the comment section below what you think about My True Ancestry, and let me know if you plan on trying it for yourself. Once again, this is Swarthy Daisy with the Kinfolk Chat channel. Make sure to like this video. Again, leave a comment and make sure to share it. I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.